Now we're going to toss it out live to meteorologist Joe Joyce in Scituate talking about the coastal concerns.
Hi, Melissa, and good morning, everybody. I'm live in Scituate, and behind me we have the AccuWeather Mobile Weather Lab. Yes, we take this anywhere there is a storm here, and we are going to continue to monitor the live conditions, real-time data, and we are going to be watching this storm here. It's going to be like a nasty nor'easter along the coastline here, but at times even experiencing close to hurricane force conditions, and the concern is for some damaging wind and waves along with this. Coastal flood watch is up across the entire coastline of New England. Here in Scituate, people are starting to board up. They're boarding up the windows. The shutters are coming through. All too familiar with storms like this. Again, a nasty nor'easter-like situation here. An easterly, northeasterly wind for the most part, shifting to the southeast and weakening by Tuesday. Back to you.
And now we're going to go live with Joe in Scituate. He's going to tell us a lot more about the coastal issues we could be dealing with, especially tomorrow and tomorrow night. Joe?
Melissa, I'm here live in Scituate with the AccuWeather Mobile Weather Lab, where it continues to monitor live weather data. But you know what? Not much to monitor at this point here. It's a quiet morning in Scituate, but it is going to start to turn nasty, especially by late tonight. As early as tonight, these winds are going to start to pick up, but it's really Monday. All eyes. Coastal flood warning now up along eastern Massachusetts, along the south coast. A high wind warning for the Cape and the islands.
How's it looking right now, Joe? Everything's quiet, right?
It's quiet, Melissa, but the winds are already starting to pick up, and I can even hear the surf building in the background here. But you know what? I'm standing here by one of the many buildings here in Scituate that tend to get pounded by these storms. And this resident right here is very smart. The windows are already boarded up here, as these homes are most vulnerable, as they're most directly exposed to these strong winds that are going to be developing. And these winds could be occasionally be gusting up to 60 to 70 miles an hour. Those kind of winds strong enough to blast open windows and break them. So the shutters are coming up. People are boarding up their windows here in Scituate. If you haven't done so, today would definitely be the day to do. We also are seeing a coastal flood warning here for southeastern Massachusetts, the Cape and the islands. Live here in Scituate, we're here with the AccuWeather Mobile Weather Lab. We're monitoring the storm here. Luckily, a quiet morning in Scituate, a good day to prepare, but this time tomorrow, a whole different story. It's going to be a very stormy Monday ahead. Back to you, Melissa.
Joe, I love that mobile you have out there.
It's a bad, mean vehicle.
I'm afraid of that. Sandy should be very, very afraid right now.
We're live in Scituate along with the AccuWeather Mobile Weather Lab. We're right here monitoring the conditions. We'll continue to do it right through the morning. Now back to you.
I love it, Joe. It's like, take it on, Sandy. Are you ready to take them? Let's see your arms. Let's see those guns. Okay. And the areas we're most concerned about that coastal flooding, especially tomorrow afternoon and evening. Here's Joe. Morning, Joe.
Well, thanks.
There you are.
Oh, hi. Thank you very much, Melissa. Yes, we're watching the wind, we're watching the waves, and we're watching it all here with our AccuWeather Mobile Weather Lab here. It continues to give us live data to surrounding towns where you live, wherever the storm is, and we're going to be watching the atmospheric pressure for sure along with this storm. It's all about the atmospheric pressure because this thing's going to continue to bomb out. We're going to continue to see pressures falling. And by the time this makes landfall, this is going to have a similar atmospheric pressure to some of our greatest New England hurricanes. Air flowing from high into low pressure. It's going to create this funneling effect of wind across the region. And so these places that are most exposed to the wind here, coming right off the water, Scituate, they're boarding up here. This one house boarded up, ready for the storm. It's a good thing because we're seeing very strong winds aloft that are going to be mixing down the ground. That's part of the reason, along with that expanding wind field, that we're going to be seeing winds occasionally gusting close to hurricane force strength. And you get winds over 50, 55 knots, you start to see damaging winds with trees and possibility of windows. Big coastal flooding here during this astronomical high tide just as this storm arrives. Carrie?
Joe, I hope you brought your pillow and your toothbrush because I know we'll be seeing you there tomorrow, I'm sure.
Yes, we're here for the long haul. I have my pillow and toothbrush in the AccuWeather Mobile Lab ready to go.
All right, good deal, Joe. Thank you so much.
Well, meteorologist Joe Joyce is in Scituate to break it all down for us. Joe, what are you just hanging out there?
That's right, Melissa. Once again, here we are on the seawall of Scituate. This is a seawall that has been tested so many years here. It has really withstood some very powerful storms, and once again, it's going to get tested again. 2010, and even the seawall was breached. They fixed it. We'll see how it goes through this one, as we are going to be seeing seas building quite rapidly during the evening hours, and then tomorrow we're likely going to be seeing seas up to around 15 to 25 feet just off our coast. You've been mentioning the wind a real concern. We're likely going to be seeing some damaging wind. We get those winds gusts up to 70 miles an hour. That could be some structural damage here for buildings like this that are completely exposed to that wind coming off the water. Luckily, these are boarded up. Not all the homes here in Scituate are boarded up. I don't know how seriously they're taking it, but today would be a good day to take the preparations to protect the windows. But also, it's not just the wind. It is the coastal flooding. Seas already starting to build up here, and we have this astronomical high tide. You can expect a better chance of some major flooding during these times of high tide. Live in Scituate with the AccuWeather Mobile Weather Lab here. We continue to monitor the storm. We'll be here tomorrow morning right through Tuesday, monitoring the wind and the waves. Back to you, Melissa.
We have meteorologist Joe Joyce, and he's got that mobile AccuWeather Lab. So cool.
That's right, Melissa. The AccuWeather Lab has taken us to Scituate, land of the nor'easters and pounding waves and surf. The flooding not anticipated to be as bad as the perfect storm right here in Scituate in 1991, but it's still going to be moderate. It's still going to come with a lot of water here during the times of high tide with this astronomical tide. This time tomorrow, we're going to be seeing seas up to around 15 to 22 feet during the afternoon high tide. Also, these residents very exposed to the wind. They're boarding up today. It's a good time to prepare for this storm because with those winds you saw, 70-mile-per-hour winds, you can bet you're going to be seeing some tree damage and the potential for power outages here. So we do have to prepare for a couple days here without power. You can see behind me the surf here in Scituate already starting to build here, and we're just getting started here. Before this is all through, seas will be up to 20 to 30 feet off the coastline. A moderate coastal flood risk across eastern Massachusetts, a more major risk of coastal flooding along the south coast extending back through Long Island. That's all from Scituate. I'm meteorologist Joe Joyce. Back to you.
All right, Joe, I know you're going to be packed out. You got your toothbrush, your PJs, everything. You're going to be there for a couple of days, aren't you?
We're in for the long haul.
All right, Joe, thank you. Okay. We'll be right back with the very latest. Stay with us.
Joe Joyce is live in Scituate, where we have already seen over the last 10 hours a really changeable situation. How you doing now, Joe?
Well, Paula, David, I tell you what, we want to give a big welcome, a big New England welcome to the mobile AccuWeather Lab. What a storm to break our weather lab into. Yeah, our anemometer is working overtime here. We've been seeing persistent wind gusts up to about 50 or more miles an hour along with this. And you know, here in Scituate, this part of Scituate that we're on is a barrier island here. Usually a barrier island is used as a speed bump to protect the mainland. And that's exactly what's going on here. You can see a lot of these shore roads. Well, we're seeing a lot of debris going over it. Luckily, some of them are open, but all that water starting to drain down in through the lowlands. And we are seeing pools of water gathering here down into the valleys and also even in towards downtown Scituate along Main Street. And it's all due to this incredible wave action that's going on. We have humongous breakers up to around 15, even 20 feet developing off the coastline. Of course, the high tide right around midday, but these waves are just going to continue to slam this seawall. It extends 13 miles along the coastline. Wow, that is just incredible wave. That's the kind of stuff that's causing the flooding this afternoon. Even though we're going to get a little bit of a break here during the afternoon with this low tide, it is going to be a very welcome low tide. You can see though, you can't take too much of this. We have significant beach erosion occurring here this afternoon, along with the lowland flooding here in Scituate. So obviously a stormy afternoon, but you know, talking to the local residents, they're all saying, I've seen worse. Very typical for the New Englanders here. So live in Scituate, I'm meteorologist Joe Joyce. We'll keep you up to date here right through the afternoon. Back to you.
And good thing we got the WBZ Mobile Weather Lab there for you to duck behind when those waves really kick up. All right, Joe Joyce.
Yeah, I gotta go get in the heat.
That's right. Get behind there.
And we'll see about that over the course of the next several hours. Again, no one has been told that they have to evacuate, and when you ask people, are you going to stick it out, they say yes, but they also put a question mark next to that because everyone wants to see what happens. Right now, a lot of the problems are a lot of gravel, a lot of stones that have been pushed into the road. They've got some of the crews around trying to clear that up. No reports yet of any kind of widespread damage. We do still have the power down here, but all eyes will certainly be on this ocean to see what is going to happen over the next several hours. Reporting live from Scituate, I'm Beth Germano, WBZ News. Back to you.
All right, Beth, thank you. And wise for those people to decide later tonight, based on what happens, whether to move out and get to higher ground.
Well, David and Paula, we are on high tide number 3 of the effects of Hurricane Sandy, and this one's going to actually be astronomically higher than last night's high tide, but the storm surge will be about a foot to a foot and a half lower. So what this means, more nuisance, minor flooding here right along the coastline. We've actually been monitoring the real live conditions here at the seawall with the Mobile 4 AccuWeather Lab. Let's take a look at those current conditions here. Right now, it's actually a nice day. We're seeing partly sunny skies here right along the coastline. We're seeing temperatures in the lower 60s with a light east wind. Most of the flooding has been minor. Here's what I found in Scituate today.